What's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Today I'm going to be reviewing the Nixon Base Tide Pro watch. This is an awesome tool for anglers who want to keep their tides handy and easy to access. There's a ton of other great features on this watch as well, but as with most things, there are some cons and it definitely won't be for everyone. So I'm going to dive into everything about this watch so you guys can get a better understanding of what it has to offer you before you buy.
So this is the Nixon Base Tide Pro to give you guys a up close and personal view of this watch. It's controlled by these four buttons here and this button down here. It doesn't look too much like a button, but I'll show you how it works in a second. So obviously the first pro of this watch is the fast access to tide information. Now clicking this button here, it'll switch the regular time face overview to the tide overview. And if you're wondering what the difference between the Base Tide Pro and the Base Tide watch from Nixon, it's these white numbers that are etched down in here, which give you an even faster view of past and future tide information. With these numbers, shows you 4 hours in the past, 2 hours in the past, the current tide level, and some future information here with these hours. And these etchings on the side show you where the tide height is at, but you can see that with the visual indicator as well. Now, to show you guys some more dialed information on the tides, you would just hit this button here and it would take you to the tide interface. Hit this button down here. It'll show you exactly what the numbers are. The high tide at 3.71, at 512, and I continue to cycle through and see more information. You can see that they also have the low tides, and I can go back by hitting this button right here and see past information on the tides as well. Now, I really don't use that function too much. I just kind of focus on watching the tide on the time face. I usually don't keep it actually on the date. I keep it on the tide interface, usually because when I look down at my watch, I'm wondering what the tide is like if I can go out soon. So to get to some other features of this watch, you would just hit this button here. They've got the sunset, sunrise, and obviously you can cycle through future information this way and past information this way. It'll tell you the sunset and the sunrise over here. Getting into some more info, you've got a timer. I don't really need to demonstrate that. Most watches have that. A chronograph as well, the alarms, and then we're back to the time. Now, if you wanted to set this watch to your time phase or your tide station, basically all you need to do is hold this button down here to the left. You just continue to hold to set, and this button is what's going to toggle you through all of the different settings. So you can see you've got a lot to format here, and then it'll eventually take you to the zone, set that for where you live, the sub-region, which would be east or west coast, and then the spot. Now, this is where we get into some cons. There are 550 tide stations available, but because this watch was really set up for surfers, pretty much all of them are on the beach. Now, I'll include the list here now so you can see some of the different tide stations they have, but I would recommend looking at their site as well to see if this watch will work for you, because there won't be tide stations for every spot that everyone fishes, obviously, but this watch for me in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina is useful. But basically, if you want to cycle through tide stations, you just need to hit these buttons here: Cape Fear, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Folly Beach, Savannah, Jackson, Daytona Beach, Fort Lauderdale. You can see that there's a lot of different options on here in terms of what tide stations you would want to use. And the user interface is pretty simple. It's not that hard to navigate, so once you get a little bit more comfortable with this watch, you can know exactly how to use it and where you need to set it up. So to talk about some other features of this watch, you can see it's got this really nice silicone band. It's super comfortable compared to nylon, a really strong clasp right here, very comfortable to wear, very well ventilated. It doesn't seem to get really clammy on my wrist, even on hot days, and it's really comfortable to wear. So sometimes I even forget it's there until I need to check the tide, but you can see it's super durable. I know that there's a lot of scratches and grime on it right now, but I've had this watch since Christmas, 5 months, really put it through a lot of wear going fishing really often. I never have taken it off pretty much until this video, so it has seen probably the most abuse out of any watch that I've ever worn, and you can see it's held up really, really well, and I think it will continue to do so. So to recap the pros and cons for this Nixon Base Tide Pro watch, this is really the fastest way to have access to tidal information out there, even faster than your phone, or even if you had the sheets printed and taped to your arm. There's a ton of different features on here that would be faster than really anything else out there, and for a really reasonable price. Similar watches that are made by Garmin retail for about $400 and $500, while this Nixon Base Tide Pro retails for about $150. And if you even wanted to go cheaper, and you would be losing these white indicators on the bottom, in the bottom left, you can get the Base Tide for $100 instead of $150. So really great, reasonable price, really durable, really comfortable. I like the feel of this watch a lot. But obviously the cons are if your Tide station or the area that you live in is not close to one of those 550 Tide stations, this watch will pretty much be useless to you other than telling time and a couple of other features such as sunrise, sunset, and timers and things like that. But really this watch is great for the tides and everything. The user interface is pretty simple, and I think the only other con that I've found is the large face on it. But for those of you who really don't care too much about that, this could be a great watch for you.
So guys, this is going to wrap up the review for this Nixon Base Tide Pro watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I do want to reiterate, we are not sponsored or affiliated by Nixon or any other tackle or gear manufacturer. We just like to make these reviews so that you can get a full scope of knowledge on products before you buy them, all the good and all the bad, so that you can make smart decisions on both tackle and gear. Now, if you like this video and you want to check out more product reviews, go visit our channel where we review tons of products, not just watches. We have rods, reels, lures, everything like that, much of which you can get on our Salt Strong Insider store for 20% off if you are an insider. So if there's any other products you want us to check out, please leave it in the comment section below, and we'd be more than happy to check it out for you guys.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live Salt Strong and wear the line today.